Hey everybody, this is kind of a tragic post, but human life was not lost. Butter went off the interstate, aka Christie, my wife, went off the interstate last Wednesday at 75 miles an hour. That's what the cruise controls were set at. The road made a right-hand turn, and for what reason, unbeknownst to her, she did not make the turn and went off into the median in between the freeways. I'm going to try to post that footage of the actual crash site. I did not film the crash, but from best what I can tell, Christie went off the freeway at a high rate of speed down into the low part of the interstate and came out of the drain, and her and the bike went airborne, and from my best calculations landed 60 feet from launch. She still hung onto the bike as it pitched, endowed, and then finally the bike pitched her like this, and she flipped and landed on her shoulder and her knee. The total crash distance for the bike was 123 feet from launch. The distance that Christie landed and came to a rest was about 150 feet is what I'm guessing. She wasn't too far up from the bike, but she was further than the bike. She broke her back in two places. They said that was from on impact when the bike hit the jump, and it loaded it up. When that bike hit that abrupt jump, the compression of it, the force broke her back in two places. Her L2 and her L5 are broken. They're not broken in a bad way, though. They're broken in a good way, I found out. They should heal without surgery. She'll have a full recovery. She got a little cut on her nose that was bleeding and a nick on her knee. I don't know how that happens unless God had his hand in taking care of her, because this was horrific for me to watch. We're at Hooligan Harley. They're going to do a crash assessment on the bike and see what they can do with it, see if it's put back togetherable, and go from there. But again, Butter, aka Christie, is okay, and she's recovering from her back being broken two places. And pay attention, people. Everyone's telling me that Christie has the same angel I got. Watching your wife go off the interstate at 75 miles an hour and then go airborne on a Heritage Softail flying through the air is a pretty horrific thing to watch. But she did outstanding. She did amazing. I always tell her, ride it out. We're out dirt bike riding, and I always taught her how to ride in the dirt, so when the bike left the road, she doesn't panic. She didn't ditch the bike. She didn't grab a handful of brakes. She literally rode this motorcycle and then jumped it and still hung on. And I think that is what saved her life and also helped her to not sustain more damage as she tumbled across the ground. The suspension, the wheels, everything on this motorcycle protected Christie as she hung on and tried her best to ride this bike out. But when the bike started to tumble, she couldn't hang on and it pitched her off. But it saved her ability to ride this motorcycle, and her skill and her calm head kept her on this motorcycle all the way through the jump, and the rest of it she couldn't hang on. She saved her own life through her skill, even though she took her eyes off the road for a second. When tragedy struck, Christie rode this Heritage Softail down a median, through a drainage gutter into a pit, out the other side. Her and the motorcycle flew 60 feet distance, then landed, and then her and the bike tumbled another 60 feet, and then Christie was pitched off the bike, and all she got, and it sounds bizarre, but considering, all she got was 2 fractures in her back. Not even a bruise on her skin, not even a strawberry, not a broken arm, not broken ribs. And it's because of this motorcycle, and more importantly, her ability to control it in a chaotic situation. So we really don't know what happened and why she left the road. But we do know that when chaos struck, Christie, aka Butter, you guys have seen her riding dual sports out in the dirt. When disaster struck, she rode the brakes off this bike. I'm so proud of her. She saved her own life. I was not responsible for how this turned out. Christie is responsible 100%. If you ride street bikes, you must get a dual sport or a dirt bike and learn how to navigate a motorcycle when the terrain gets crazy. She never one time went down sideways. She never fell off the bike. She rode this motorcycle down, through a jump, and out the other side. She never once left the seat. Never left the seat. I don't know about you guys, but jumping off a motorcycle at 70 plus miles an hour probably creates a little tumbling, which can create all kinds of fractures, broken bones, broken necks. Not to mention the road grime, the road slide, the road rash. But she stayed on this thing and rode it out until she couldn't hang on anymore. And that saved her life. And I'll tell you another thing that saved Christie's life was this Harley Davidson. That impact was so hard when she dropped into the hole and then the bike shot. That compression was so hard it fractured her back in 2 places. This motorcycle did not break. Now they'll check out the frame and they'll check everything out to make sure it's 100%, but the bike did not come apart. It stayed together and rode, operated for her. As days go by and I start to process what happened, I'm humbled by God, who was definitely looking out for Christie. God had his hand in this 100%. Once things went crazy, a God-given talent that Christie had and the good Lord were all working together to produce results that were phenomenal. And she had a GoPro, but it wasn't on. She even asked me if I caught this shot. Her cup holder's all bent. Speaker's broken. That bike's pretty messed up, actually. So, anyway, that's what's happened after we left Chattanooga on our 2-week ride to the Capitol. You guys saw a post of the Capitol fireworks, and I was putting together a whole segment when disaster struck. So, I'm over here at Hooligans, getting all of her personal belongings off this bike and see what they can do with it, if they're going to total it or not. But more importantly, leave comments. Give me a thumbs up on this video. Christie could sure use the encouragement. She doesn't even know how well of a job she did. Next time, Christie, don't go off the road. But she knows riding a motorcycle, these things can happen. And once it was game time, she handled it very well. Anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. And I'm glad this post is what it is. Could have been a lot worse. See ya.